Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first annual Alumni Day. Thank you, alumni, for coming. Very much appreciate it. We are having this because you're all seniors. Some of you are juniors, probably wondering what the real world is like. And these very gracious folks are here to tell you just how terrible it is. So actually, I hope that's not what they're going to tell you. So we're going to have the alumni introduce themselves in a moment. We have two MCs here. You guys know Jack and Chaplin. They're here to carry the load. And if you have questions, raise your hand. We've got volunteers on both sides. They're going to bring a microphone to you. Just stand up, ask your question, and feel free to ask any question you want. Anything that's on your mind, feel free to ask. This is a time for you to really understand what it's like after high school. Okay? So please give a round of applause for the alumni, and we'll get started.
All right. So how's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
All right, nice. So I guess, yeah, let's just sort of like go around the tables, introduce ourselves one at a time. Want to start us off, Lucas?
Sure. Well, I'm Lucas. I graduated last year. I go to the University of Rhode Island, and I'm studying biomedical engineering.
My name's Amelia. I graduated in 2022. I work for John Hancock Life Insurance. I did not go to college.
I'm Hayden Benoit. I graduated 2 years ago. I'm currently going to Great Bay for business. I'm Grayson Benoit. I go to Maine Maritime. I also graduated 2 years ago.
I'm Alexis Italian. I graduated 2 years ago. I go to Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and my major is diagnostical medical sonography.
Hi there, my name is Carly Bobbin. I graduated in 2022. I go to the University of New Hampshire and I'm currently studying English teaching.
My name is Logan Giampa. I graduated in 2016. I've worked at the shipyard for 6 years now.
My name is Sophia Day. I graduated last year. I go to Maritime College, and I majored in biology and nutrition.
My name is Jacob Potter. I graduated 2 years ago. I go to the University of
Awesome, thank you. So first question that we sort of wanted to ask you all today is, what was like your biggest challenge when transitioning from high school to college or your career? Like, how'd you overcome that?
One of us or all of us?
Yeah, and anybody who's like first one who like has an answer like come to mind, you can just jump in, I guess.
I'll start. The biggest adjustment for me was the adjustment of homework. We kind of started like here, there's really not a whole lot. The switch to college is pretty drastic pretty quickly. There's a lot more work that you have to do not in class.
Okay, interesting. Anyone else have a challenge that they overcame?
Yeah, another thing regarding homework is it's a lot more dependent on you to understand when you have things due for each class that you have. When you're here in high school, you have a lot of your teachers remind you daily of this is due then, you have deadlines for this, and you'll have like courseworks of deadlines for everything you do. In college and university, like it's not set out for you. You have to make your own schedule and plan for what you want to do, and it's best to have like your own study times and like designated homework times so that you don't get distracted and slack off on homework and then procrastinate to have it later.
Okay, awesome.
Nobody else? So on to the kind of general idea of challenges. How did you handle failure or setbacks? So how did you handle failure or setbacks, and how did you develop resilience after facing challenges?
discuss like what specifically?
Anybody else?
From high school, you get like easy grades almost, like teachers help you pass, and then in college it's completely different. Like you can go from easy grades. You kind of have to like work harder at it. I think some of us mentioned that, but also like it's okay to have not great grades but still like be passing. Like you obviously want to strive for the best. But if you have B's and C's and you also are balancing a social life and work, like that's okay.
Any answers from them? Any questions from the audience?
How much
I typically dedicate normally like 6 hours a day roughly if I have like a heavy course load in a week. If it's a more typical course load in a week, it's more like 3 to 4.
can also follow up on that as well? At least for my university, they like to look at it as school is dedicated about 40 hours per week. So while you're in class is maybe 20 hours or so, you're kind of expected to have like some work and academics, so also for another 20 hours on top of that. Job. It's pretty manageable once you get the hang of it and figure out what works best for you.
A lot of the times people are there volunteering for extra credit. And a lot of the time if you do well in classes, teachers ask you to do it, so they're always looking for more people, meaning they usually have plenty of help. So it's usually just walk right in, and if not, if you have alerts on, they will notify you every time a tutor is in the room at the time, so you could always just take a look at your alerts, and then they have a board down on the first floor where you can see where all the tutors are and what time. So it's very available for everybody who wants help.
All right, so this next question is sort of about networking. Like, how important is networking, and how did you like start building meaningful professional relationships after high school? You know, like whether that be like in your colleges or in your careers. Like, what were some like? How did you like communicate to others to like help find more opportunities and stuff?
I think networking is super important in college. When you're here in high school, you kind of have a community already pre-built for you. But when you go off to the world, you have to build your own community, which can be really hard at first. It's important that you network yourself to others and just put yourself out there because that's what brings you opportunities.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think my professors that I met through college and talk about their own experiences when it comes to teaching and kind of networking with them to see maybe what kind of opportunities I can have, whether it's in college or outside of college. I think it's really important to meet your professors and to be able to speak to them about their personal experiences and be able to use maybe their strategies or different ideas that they use to help them get into their position and to allow you to find a path that might work for you based on that.
I have one. So my networking looks a little bit different because I do work from home, so I don't see my coworkers face to face really. I got my job through my mom. She got me a referral, and I applied, and they liked my application. And when I was hired, I was put into this class with people that were all over the country. And so you kind of have to make a point to get to know your coworkers. Especially when you're in a remote environment. So that's, sending out an email, paying attention to what people are putting in the chats about their home life. So say, I just got a new puppy, that you want people to reach out to you and build those meaningful relationships, because later on down the line, say you have a family emergency and you need someone to cover your shift for you. You want to have those relationships with your coworkers to be able to, lean on them for help. And then networking is also important with like corporate jobs, because if you are speaking with your managers and their managers, you're going to get more opportunities for growth and training development.
Nice. Anyone else have something? Okay.
I work at the shipyard. We have like 8,000 people that work with us. I started out as a mechanic, which is kind of like your entry-level position. But with whatever career you guys go into, networking is going to be key because all you really have is to sell yourself. So any conversations you have with peers or people above you is an opportunity for you guys to kind of sell yourself, sell opportunities that they have, and either promoting you or working with you. So.
Fantastic. Any questions from the crowd? Any of the other alumni want to jump on, or?
I'm just wondering what advice you might give to seniors and the juniors that are here that maybe you wish you followed when you were in high school. Anything you might recommend that they do in the next, I think, 4 or 5 months that we have left in school?
I'd say just take advantage of all of the help that you're getting right now. Any offers for, advice on what to do when you get out of high school, take it and really run with it. And just any opportunities to make friends here. I know a lot of people, you put your head down and you just try to get the work done throughout high school, but it really makes a difference on your experience if you talk with your peers and just get their perspectives.
I can add one. If you're going into college, apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can. I applied for like maybe 2 and I didn't get either of them, and I'm definitely feeling that now with no aid. So if you have the chance, if you have to write a little essay for it, it's definitely worth it, because if you end up getting that money, it'll cover you so much in the future, because without anything, it's quite a lot. That's my recommendation.
Cool.
Can I have a follow-up to that, sir? Are you already paying for it?
Yeah.
So what's that look like?
So my week is pretty basic. So I usually work about like 40 hours a week in school, and then I work on the weekends. So I have like just enough room where I can do school and work and then pay for it now. So I can pretty much pay for all of my community college stuff now as I go through it. And then I have a little bit of extra money saved for when I figure out what I want to do next.
So what are you paying weekly or monthly or whatever for Great Bay?
So Great Bay, it's like give or take like $4 to $8 grand a semester, depending on what classes you're taking. So it's based off credit. I don't know the exact conversion, but it's like $125 a credit or something. And I take like 12 to 15 credits, so it just depends on how many credits you take. And I work usually between like 20 hours a week, and I get paid pretty well, so it's not usually a big issue. But if I realize if you put away like $150 a week, it's usually enough to get you through and have like just enough to pay for school. So it's not that much in the grand scheme of things, but you certainly have to forgo some of the luxuries that you might have now.
All right.
So moving on, looking back, how would you define success at different stages of your life, and how has that definition evolved over time?
I can start it. So like in high school, success was like balancing both like all the clubs that I was in, as well as like school and homework and everything, as well as like sports, and also having a personal life. I think work too. But in college, it's more like, did I eat breakfast today? Did I go to school on time? Like, am I passing all my classes? It's like you have smaller goals, but they're also like bigger in the grand scheme of things. So just like anytime you do something for yourself too, like I'll get Starbucks on my way to school sometimes if I have a test. Like that's my reward to myself. There's a Panera really close to my school, so that's always nice when I pick it up on the way home. So stuff like that.
You got off of what Marcy said. I think in high school, success was getting good grades and being active in the community. And now in college, success is more so like putting myself out there and finding joy in the new community that I built and So I think success looks different for everybody, but I think it's important to make sure that you're at a good place, and that's really what makes you successful. It's not how well your grades are or how active you are.
Yeah, I remember myself in high school thought that success was just going to be what, my bank account looked like or the things that I had. And I'll say after working and having a career now, it's about time that you get with people that you care about and kind of the opportunities that come along with it. I mean, I don't make all the money in the world, but I have enough money that I was able to buy a house young and travel and do everything that I want to do. So it's definitely not just about what you have.
Any other? Oh, there's a question.
You guys have been rated in the past or
Yeah, always. When you have to do it anyways, so just get something.
Okay, I can guarantee probably everyone here at least once has felt that way, but it's kind of once you do it once, it's a lot easier to do it again.
Yeah. I'd say when you're in like the workforce, asking for help looks a little bit different than when you're in school. Because a lot of times when you're asking for help and it's part of your job, it's not just you that it's going to affect if what you're asking for help on, like you kind of fail on if you don't ask for help. So when you're working on a project or something and you feel like you're drowning, it's in everyone's best interest to just reach out and see if you can get either your peer or your manager, just someone to either bounce ideas off of or just take a little bit of the load off of you, because your whole team is going to have a better success if you're successful.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I mean, we work on submarines at the shipyard, and they nail it in your head that early on as a young guy, and didn't want to seem like I didn't know what I was doing or didn't know what I was talking about, but they nail it into your head that if you don't know what you're doing or you need help or just advice on something, you ask it because what we work on is important stuff. So I think whatever you're struggling with, big problem, small problem, just a little piece of advice, just ask it. And I'm sure that whoever you ask has been there before and you choose to, but happy to help.
And when you graduate, you're not supposed to know what you're doing, you're not supposed to know what's going on. It's how you put yourself out there and get the help that you need. So it's fine if you have no idea what's going on, you just have to be able to put yourself out there.
Any other questions?
How is dorm life?
Oh, sorry.
I can speak to that a little bit. I currently work as an RA, so I'm a residential assistant within the dorm. So I really work to build community within the halls and just kind of really expand upon that social life aspect. For me personally, I've had a very enjoyable experience. My 2 years before being an RA, I picked a random roommate. It's not as scary as you think it might be. I did have a very positive experience with that. It's really just getting used to that communal living style, having to be around a bunch of people, having to share a bathroom, maybe a kitchen. But you'll get through those hoops as you go through it, and I found it to be a very enjoyable experience and met a lot of friends through it.
It also can, the random roommate doesn't always work out. I did not get a good random roommate my freshman year, and the second half year I basically lived on my friend's dorm most of the year. So there's two sides to it, but once I found my friends, even though it was three of us living on a two-person dorm on most days, it was really nice and being able to get really close to my friends.
My freshman year, I dormed at my school, but I got very lucky. I had a whole suite, so there was 2 rooms with 4 people. Each room had 2 people in it, and we shared a bathroom, we shared a kitchen, we had a living space. We were very fortunate for that, and it wasn't bad. Like, I've met all my roommates on Instagram before. It was easy reaching out to people. Like, it's scary at first because you don't know if they are what they say they are. Like, you don't know if they actually do wake up at 6 in the morning or if they do go to bed early or late. But you kind of have to take a chance. And like the friendships that I made my freshman year, I have an apartment now for my second year, and all of my friends that I made are at the apartment with me. So it really really helps to reach out to find your roommates. And even if you don't, like, random roommates do work out sometimes, they do not work out sometimes, but you kind of have to take that chance.
I went random my freshman year, and it wasn't until like almost August I found out that I was in a triple. So I have 2 roommates. One of them's fine. One of them's like okay. But I live in Hillside, which is the newest dorm, and it's a live and learning community. So there's only engineers and nurses in my dorm. And so since it's the newest, they decided it would be more sustainable if they didn't put AC in dorms, but they put AC in every other room in the building, which I don't think, it doesn't make any sense. But it's like nice to live in there, plus you get a stipend if you get an enforced triple, so it even makes up for the fact that I'm an enforced triple. And everyone who lives there since I'm in the LLC is like-minded, and it's easy to just go next door and ask if, like, can I have help on the homework, because they're in the same classes as you, because you're all the same major, so.
I agree with that. If you can live in a dorm, like with similar majors or programs or whatnot, I live in the honors dorm. And I got lucky the honors dorm is all suites, so I feel really lucky that I haven't had to use the communal bathroom, because that's kind of disgusting. But I will say the upside to that is place to interact, like there's a cleaning service that comes in and cleans it every day, whereas when you have your own bathroom, like you have to clean it, but I like to clean, but that's besides the fact. But I think it's also very different, like I lived in a house my whole life and I went from my room to the kitchen, ate my food and then left, and like now you have to like get ready in your dorm, go to the bathroom, and then leave and walk, you know, you don't know how far to the dining hall, and then you know, walk wherever you need to go. So it's definitely like different not having everything in the same building. But yeah, I think just try to be friends with your roommate, because it'll be really, really awkward if you're not. So like you don't have to be best friends with your roommate, but if you like hate each other, it's gonna be really awkward, and you wanna have your dorm and your living space be like a comfortable place for you. It doesn't have to be your happiest place, but it's a place where you can really sleep and not worry if your roommate's gonna kill you.
I'll say something. So in community college, my dorm life isn't exactly existent because I'm home with my parents. So my roommates, while they are a little crazy, I'm very grateful to have people always surrounding me. It's like I can come home and I'll have dinner cooked for me, or you know, like I'll have someone to help wake me up in the morning when I have to leave the house. It's definitely different, like where they're all having, you know, their dorm life and they're talking about their roommates, especially Jacob's bad roommate, and I'm like, hey, you know, mine are fine. I have no issues with them. So it's definitely very different, and it's exciting to get out of the house and go to dorms, but at the same time, it's really nice and it's comforting to be at home as well. So that's probably the best part about community college, is I get to stay home.
I think also something else, you know, at Merrimack, where I go to school, there's a lot of commuters, and I think I didn't really expect for all the commuters to be so involved in the community as they are. The commuters, like, you can live at home and still have a life at college and go to the extracurricular activities and, you know, have fun and whatnot, and you'll find friends that live on campus and you can stay with them, and I just think it's important to know that you can commute and still live at home, but also have your separate life at college, and it's way cheaper that way.
So in my experience, the dorms kind of suck at my school. So it's pretty much everyone's goal to get a good, solid group of friends to find a house. So there's a lot of houses around the area that I go to school. So just like, more importantly, just get a solid group of friends. And if your dorms do suck or you don't like it, find a house with them. It's a lot cheaper and it's a lot better.
I think I'll also note the dorms you're probably going to be living in, if you're not living in a brand new building like Lucas is probably like a really old, crappy building. And just know you're going to have to call like maintenance and facilities. And if you aren't good with talking to people on the phone, you're going to have to suck it up, because you're going to have to call somebody to come fix your door. That's the point, probably.
Yeah, I live in a pretty old one, it's built in the 30s and 40s, and things break all You have to call in, people come help, especially when it's the middle of December and you freeze, so.
Nice. Any questions from the crowd or? All right. So, how do you maintain like a work-life balance, especially as your responsibilities grow over time?
I can answer this one. So I really struggled when I left high school and kind of like left the nest. I really took for granted the fact that my mom made all my doctor's appointments and my dentist appointments and anything else that I had to do to like maintain a healthy life. When you leave home and leave like high school, you're not going to have someone that's going to remind you all the time that you need to do certain things. And so learning like your routine that's kind of required for your health is really important. And when you're working from home especially, it's hard to separate work and home. My whole thing is I shut my laptop and I don't touch it again until my shift starts the next day. A lot of people that I work with really struggle with that, and it can really take a toll because when you're logging back in to help someone else after your shift has already ended, you start to feel like you're putting in a lot more effort than other people, and the expectation isn't, you know, going back and starting again after you already left for the day. So I always shut my laptop and I leave work in the office. And then I go about the rest of my day and I just kind of forget about what I did at work.
Yeah, I'm obviously not able to take my work home with me to do the physical work at home, but I would say when you're out of work, find things to occupy your time, whether it be, you know, friends that you hang out with, a significant other that you spend time with. I coach here. That's 2 hours a night that I'm not thinking about work. I'm just thinking about, you know, the guys that I'm coaching. And find somewhere that your job that will pay you to not be there too. Shipyard offers a bunch of time off, sick and vacation time. So you guys, if you ever get a job, use that time. It's your time that you're earning. Make sure you take it.
I'm on federal work study, and so federal work study only allots you a certain amount of money that you get paid by the federal government, but then depending on where you work on campus, they might pay you on their own payroll, so you don't actually get the money allotted. Say they say you get $1,500 for federal work study. You don't actually get $1,500. You get the $1,500 from the government, and then you can get paid more on top of the hours you work from your actual employer. So I work roughly 10 hours a week. Like I don't make it a big commitment. I just do it so that I can mitigate the amount of money that I spend while I'm at college. And I get paid minimum wage in Rhode Island, which I get paid $14.50 an hour. So then I work before my classes 2 days a week, and then once from like 4 to 6:30 p.m. and then 3 shifts a week, and I get paid bi-weekly, and I get like $200. Mitigates all my spending, so it keeps me at like a constant flow. If I wanted more money, I can ask for more. So next semester, I asked for closer to like 12 to 15 hours per week, just to increase my pay. But there's a lot of opportunities while you're on campus to earn money, and things like there's the Emporium at URI, which is this big square half a mile away that has like 10, 15 different restaurants and stores that you can also work at that are considered off campus, and that would just be a job. You can also say you work an off-campus job, so that way you can get a parking permit, so you can have a car as a freshman. It's a little life hack that I've been told.
I think in school it's also important to like try to like keep yourself in a good place and recognize that you are there to learn, but you're also there to build your community, which is professional and your social life. So it's important to get your work done, but you know, if you've done your work and you've done your studying, take a break. You know, if your friends are going out, go out with them. Like, it's not meant to be all work all the time. That's not how life is meant to be, and it's not even how school is meant to be, because you want to put yourself out there and make friends, because even if they're not professional friends, they're still going to help get you through in one way or another, and that's important.
It's also okay okay to not have a job if you can like financially do that. I was very lucky. I didn't have a job my whole freshman year. I focused just on school, just getting like everything done that I could, and then this coming year I wanted to get a job, but with the amount of classes that I was taking and the program that I'm in, I go through the summer, so it's an accelerated course, and I couldn't take on a job with all the credits that I had. So I had to make like a hard decision of not having a job this year and just like have kind of having to rely on my parents a lot, which is really hard, especially if you were like independent in high school and had a job and took care of your own stuff. But sometimes you really have to ask for help when you need it, especially your parents, they're there for you, or anything. Scholarships are helpful too. Like I applied for a lot of those to help, especially since I wouldn't have a job. It's all there for you.
Awesome. Anyone else want to add, or any questions from the crowd? Oh.
What's the meal plan, or like the meals at your school like? Is getting a meal plan worth it?
Yeah, so I can start. For UNH, we currently require, if you live on campus, you have to get a meal plan. You have 3 different options. Each of them do offer unlimited food in the dining hall. As someone who's lived on campus for 3 years, I think the food is decent. There is a lot of different options, whether it's pizza and burgers, or if you're more into like stir fry, or like different like kind of cuisines and everything. They do offer a wide range of options, and you'll find something for you. There's, at least for UNH as well, they offer a lot of help from being able to figure out what foods are like different allergens, dietary restrictions, and the people in the dining hall are really willing to work with you to help figure out how best to feed you and figure out the meal plan. But yeah, overall 3 different options. They'll give you like different dining dollars, as we call them, to be able to go to different off-campus like facilities, like buy different food, maybe from like a cafe or like a different shop. But those are also valuable as well if you want to do like a bigger meal plan.
At URI, it's not mandatory unless it's your first semester freshman year. After that, you don't need to have one. There's 4 different plans. There's 3 that are similar and just vary in the amount of dine-in dollars and RAM bucks you get. RAM bucks are like, it's just free cash you can use anywhere at like stores around the campus as well, but dine dollars is purely for on-campus stores. But we have 3 dine-in halls on campus, and in them they vary with food all the time. There's main fare, which is like, there's a burger bar, a deli, a pasta place, they call it fusion. There's home style, they have home cooked meals, there's a soup station, there's a dessert station, a salad bar, fruit bar. There's anything, if you don't find something there's also a Butterfield in the Rams Den. But there's a lot of options, and there's many things that you can go out and find. And with Rams dollars, there's also like convenience stores on campus. I have 3 Starbucks and I have 3 Dunkins on campus, all of which you can use dine-in dollars for. You get, so for my meal plan is $2,800 a semester. You get unlimited meal swipes, 400 dine-in dollars that refresh each semester, so in total 800, and then 50 RAM bucks. The 50 RAM bucks I use to buy my chemistry lab equipment and one of my books. So the meal plan I think is very much worth it, but then there's also the flex plan, which is like $1,100 a semester, and it allows you like 50 meal swipes and then 100 dine-in dollars. But that's typically for people who live in the suites on campus because they have their own kitchens and everything like that. So they typically sustain themselves and they just get the flex meal if they need it.
Sweet. Yeah, so next question there.
How much did you guys usually get
Did you say like how long or what time you have to wake up?
Yeah.
So it depends. I mean, for work, it depends on your work schedule, and for school, it depends on what you're scheduled. You'll probably get your schedule in like June or July, and if you don't like it or if it doesn't really work out for you, you can reach out and ask them to change it. But so like I have 8 a.m.s, which I enjoy, but most people don't. But so I like getting up early and getting my classes done, and then I'm free in the nights. But it really just depends on when you're scheduled. And same goes for a job. If you're scheduled at 7, you have to be there at 7, but if you're working at night, then you go at night.
So at my school, you pick your own schedule every semester. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. You have like a certain amount of classes you need to take, but you can kind of arrange those however you need for available class times. So it's kind of just whatever you pick.
Working from home, my routine is really boring. I have one of 3 shifts and it stays the same every month. So I'm either on 8 to 4, 9 to 5, or 10 to 6. I wake up the same time no matter what shift I'm on, because me, like myself, I know that if I change my sleep schedule, it's gonna mess me up for weeks. And so I always wake up at 7 a.m. for my 8 o'clock shift, or my 9 o'clock shift, or my 10 o'clock shift. And then I just fill the gaps of that time with stuff that makes me happy. So I'll read a book, or I'll cook something, or I'll just, watch TV. I fill my time, and I'm generally awake the same amount every day. I go to sleep at the same time every day. My routine is strict in a not strict way. I don't do, it's not like strenuous or anything.
I have a question for Logan. Did you go right into the shipyard after high school, or did you take some time off and try to figure out what you wanted to do?
I left high school and went to Great Bay. It was a cheap option for me, and I still had no idea what I really wanted to do. Career-wise, I went to school for business for a year and a half. Went to my classes, worked part-time, did the whole thing, lived at home, and I wanted to be independent, so I started at the shipyard about a year and a half in to college. Ended up finishing with a 2-year degree while I was at the shipyard, and I've been there for 6 years, and it's been great. I just never, found what I wanted to do in college, and instead of paying them for another 2 years, I figured I could go and work in a career that I was going to get paid for.
Did Great Bay help you with the shipyard, or is it something that you are glad you did?
I'm definitely glad that I started at the shipyard or went into a career. Great Bay didn't have any assistance with it. It was really all my friends. I would want to, go out to dinner with them that night or something, and they were all working at the shipyard, and they said, well, I got to get up early in the morning for work. So I just kind of followed suit with them and tried it out and figured I could, go back to school if I wanted to. That's the one thing I'll say to you guys is don't put too much pressure on yourselves. You guys are, I remember being 17, 18 years old, and you're graduating, leaving your friends, possibly leaving home, and then on top of that, trying to figure out what you want to do for the next 40 years. That's a lot to ask of 17 and 18-year-olds. I think I'm 27. It's still a lot to ask of me. Don't put any pressure on yourself. There's time to figure stuff out. I know people that have done stuff for 10 years, done a job for 10 years, and then they change it. So, don't think what you decide leaving here and majoring in is what you have to do for the rest of your life.
Continuing with the shipyard, what qualifications did you need to get a job there?
I started at an entry-level position as a pipe fitter, and they will give you all of the necessary training. It's almost better if you go in there without being previously trained. That way they can kind of train you and teach you the ways that they want you to work, just because we do such specific work. So I didn't need college, I didn't need anything like that, I just needed a high school diploma, and I went through the interview process.
Any other questions?
I can ask a lot of questions, I guess, but Logan,
Yeah.
you and Alexis bought a house?
Yeah.
Where?
I bought a house with my wife now. We bought a house in South Berwick, which I bought my house at 22, and I was fortunate to buy it young, and I was able to do that because I was working full time.
So that's like the next step for a lot of the people you share this with, maybe 5 or 10 or 15 years from now. What were challenges with that?
We were trying to buy at a difficult time. Obviously, that's a huge purchase, right, for anyone, and there's a lot of doubt that goes into your mind. Maybe I can't, financially do this. Maybe I don't have enough money for this. The thing I'll say for anyone that goes through that process in the future is to try and get as many options as possible, right? So look at all the different mortgages and your payment options, just like you would for college too. Lay everything out, budget, and really make sure that you do a lot of research with it.
Cool.
That kind of leads to a question I have for everybody. What do you wish you learned in high school? Is there anything you guys recommend people absorb in high school? What were the missing gaps when you went out into the world that you wish you learned?
I wish we learned about personal finances more in high school. I think it's a culture shock for a lot of young people going into the world. Just budgeting and the real extent of what the world is going to cost and what life is going to throw at you too.
Yeah, I think especially if your parents aren't paying full for everything or whatever, you're kind of thrown out on your own, and you're learning what you should invest, what you shouldn't invest, what money you need to pay for school, but what account should you put this other money in. And it's a learning curve, but it's important, and you want to make the most of the money that you do have. And it's also important because you will need to be financially independent someday down the line. So even if your parents are helping you or paying for everything, it's important that you still learn about stuff so that you can succeed when you are eventually independent.
Yeah, I'd say a big piece is budgeting. I wish someone told me more about how to do that. I worked all throughout high school. I had part-time jobs the whole time. So it wasn't that I left high school and immediately started earning money. I knew what earning money looked like. I didn't know how to allocate that money and what things that I could actually afford. So it's kind of like a learning curve where, especially when you start getting credit cards, you get a credit limit and then you see something that you want and it's well, yes, I have the credit limit on that, but will you be able to pay it off before, that payment is due? That sort of thing. So that is something that I'm really fortunate where I work for John Hancock, and so it's a lot of people that are very financially literate. So I learned a lot about personal finances when I got to work, that sort of thing, and I just really appreciate all the people that told me how to do certain things, like what a high yield savings account was.
While you were in high school, were there any early college classes that you took? Do you think helped with transition into college, with the workload?
I was able to take marketing for 2 years while I was in high school, and I was able to, I think we went through YCCC, I think at the time, and was able to apply those credits, which meant that I wasn't paying the school for the credits at the time, which was helpful. So I would recommend, if you guys are able to take any classes in high school that are able to go towards your college credits, definitely do it. Otherwise, you're going to be paying double or triple potentially when you get to school.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I transferred in 15 or 16 credits to Merrimack, which is almost the equivalent to a semester. And with being a double major, transferring in a semester was really helpful for me. And I would just say take the opportunity to get college credit while you can, especially the free classes. You can do pre-calc here and get college credit for it, and in college you're probably gonna pay, I don't know, $4,000 for it. So, and you're gonna get way more support here. And it's gonna be less work too. I mean, it really depends on the school, but my pre-calc class that I took here was way less work than what my friend took in pre-calc at school, so.
Taking the engineering program here really helped me have a step up on some of the kids that are also doing engineering. Because on my first day, I took a technical drawing class. I already did how much stuff there is to learn just to be able to start doing the basic, like, half-an-hour project for the class. Took the kids who had no clue what they're doing in a couple hours. So it saves you a lot of time.
Yeah, I think, again, CTC, I mean, I can't stress it enough. There's so many really good opportunities that you have here and for free. I transferred in some credits from my CTC class. I took the biomed program at Dover, and I took Biology 1 this fall, and I took a lab, and I did some of the exact same labs that I did in my biomed class, which was really helpful because I knew how to do it. I had the resources available to me, and even things such as writing a big lab report, I had already done that in my CTC classes, and so it just came natural to me, and I'd already done it, and I was already used to it, and that makes all the difference when you have 5 other classes that you're trying to manage, and you already know how to do this stuff for one of the classes.
So, how important is it to get involved in clubs or sports, and how did that impact your social and professional life?
I think it's very important, especially to get involved in clubs, because if you don't get involved in clubs and or other extracurriculars that are on campus, your entire life will be derived around you going to class, going home, doing homework, and then going back to class the next day and repeating the process. And you won't start to learn these social skills that you need to make new friends while you're on campus and get out there. And joining a club, especially because at the start of school years, they'll have 50, 100 clubs come out and they do these fairs all the time of come and meet these clubs, see what it's about. And so I joined a club called Engineers Without Borders. And so we focus on solving issues that are both domestic and international, and both have to be fundraised for, but obviously domestic are a lot cheaper. And so currently we're doing a project in Maryland where there's this town that only has a population of about 78, and since it's so small, they don't get funding from local towns around them. And so it's about a square mile. It is the smallest town I've ever seen. But on it, there's 28 houses, and we have to fix their water distribution and sanitization that they have, because they use chlorine to clean and sanitize water, but they use literal liquid bleach to clean and sanitize their water for their households. So we came up with a financial plan of how to fix that, and then the next plan that we're thinking of for another trip would be a trip to Nairobi, Africa, the capital of Kenya, where we would do a similar problem. So it's very cool to get out there, find new things to do, and have something fun to do on top of your coursework, with your friends, and learn social skills that you wouldn't have without being forced into a situation like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Joining clubs will give you opportunities, and just because you join an email list for a club doesn't mean that you're stuck with that for the next 4 years. You could just go to one meeting, make some friends, and if you don't like the club, you don't have to go back. I pre-committed to band at Merrimack, and I got a lot of opportunities through that. I also got to move in early, which is nice, and figure out my way around campus and whatnot. And I just went to Ireland with band, which was really cool. And it's just really nice when you join clubs like that. You get a lot more opportunities than you would just being in your classes, and you make a lot more friends, and you gain a lot of friendships.
Bounce off that, it's just a really easy way to make college feel like home. At least for me, I really leaned into finding clubs and jobs that really interest me and my hobbies and passions. And through that, I was able to meet so many people that had very similar interests as to mine, as well as just get to network with people and just do something I love. For me, I helped start up the Future Educators Club at the University of New Hampshire, which is a really great way to network with other people also looking to get into the education field. And along with that, I just found a lot of jobs that match my interests, such as being like an orientation leader on campus, or just being like an RA like in the dorms. It was just very helpful for me to transition to college.
My college is really small, so we don't actually have a lot of clubs. We did have a club fair my freshman year, but none of the clubs really jumped out at me. And like I was very involved in high school, so it was very hard for me to not do something with my time. But me and my friends, instead, we started to do things that made us happy. We went to like cycling. Like there's on one of the colleges in Fenway, so I can use like Simmons, Wentworth, like anything from them, basically. So Wentworth has a gym and a cycling place, so we would go and do that instead of a club. Like it wasn't the same, but like we found things to like spend our time on instead. Like keeping busy, doing other things, it helps make the time go by.
I will say stuff like that too, like the gym at college, like we pay for that, we still use it, because you have to pay for membership, so, and some schools, obviously, the gyms aren't as nice. At Merrimack, the gym's pretty nice, it's really new, and there's 3 or 4 different gyms on campus, so you have a lot of opportunities, and yeah, there's a bunch of like classes that you can take, and there's so many opportunities to like meet people even just at the gym. And I think this goes to say with all opportunities at college, you're paying for it anyways, so take advantage of it, because when you leave college, you're gonna have to pay for it all again, so.
So at John Hancock, because a lot of our departments are completely work from home, one of the ways that we kind of stay connected with our peers is we created a team called Aspire, and so the whole point of the team is to get engagement across different departments. And so I joined that, and that was a really great way to meet other people that I wouldn't work directly with. And creating those connections really opened a lot of doors, and I understand a lot more of other products because of just talking with peers that I wouldn't, there's no like water bubbler talk when you work from home, and so you have to kind of go out of your way to make those connections. But in a job like that, it means a lot when there's people that are going out of their way to make it feel like more personal. You're not just a person sitting at a computer all day. You make connections with everyone.
It's hard. The best thing you can do is try and keep in contact, and like, so me and Alexis, we go to different schools. We've been dating for 7 years now though, and our main thing is we call once a day, even if it's just for 30 seconds, just to say hi. Sometimes that's all you need to do is just talk to them, let you know that you're still there and doing all right, just check in.
I also like my college, I get out earlier on Fridays than he does, and I usually have Mondays off sometimes. This year I didn't, but I'll drive up to Maine, like you Maine. I'll make the 4-hour commute from Boston. But like visiting, like we try to do at least twice every semester or whatever. Usually like in the spring we see each other more because I like can work my schedule so I have a day off so I can visit more often. But really like calling, staying in contact, like that's like the biggest thing you can do. Especially when you're like going through really hard classes, like communicating that you're stressed and like doing that really helps. Like it's like 270 something miles, but we still make it work, so.
I think for me, when it comes to my major, a lot of what we have to do is really work with students to be able to just like engage in a lot of classes in which we'll learn steps on how to become a teacher, such as like classroom management or like different skills that you can incorporate into a classroom. For me, mine's a little specific being an English teaching major, so a lot of what I do is I read a lot and I write a lot of essays and really engage in that aspect of it, but outside of that, I really make sure that I spend a lot of time in kind of like an internship type phase where I'll be able to like really engage with students and work in classrooms. I currently work as a tutor for middle school students in Manchester, and it's been wonderful. So it's really taking a part of those kinds of things has been really helpful for me. At UNH, I'll be transitioning into their graduate school program in order to take like a full internship year, and that's currently what I'm working towards as I finish my junior year today.
Yeah, I'll say for my education classes, I took 2 education classes and 2 bio classes this semester. And compared to the bio classes, the education classes are so easy. Literally my class, it was called Intro to Human Services. The professor literally just told us that if you wanted to work with humans, you have to like have empathy and like not get annoyed. I don't know. It was pretty pointless for me, honestly. But the classes, I'm sure will get better, and I'm sure it'll be great. But put yourself out there with your professors because they're going to have a lot of connections with other schools that you could have the opportunity to work at. And put yourself out there just in whatever your education school is, so you can get opportunities to intern at specific schools that you would want to, and to be able to work with the groups of people that you want to, and not end up in the complete opposite of what you want.
How did you go through the process of finding which college you wanted to go to?
I'll tell you, I applied to like 20 colleges. I'm really indecisive. So I just applied everywhere, and I narrowed it down to 4 schools: Merrimack, UMaine, Furman University, and Western Carolina. And I visited UMaine, and I wasn't really vibing with it. And I visited Merrimack, and I really loved it. And then I flew to the Carolinas, and I could tell the whole time I was comparing it to Merrimack, and I was like, oh, well, Merrimack has this, Merrimack's better, and that's kind of how I made my decision. It also just, you're not going to find the absolute perfect school. You're just going to find out, if it meets your criteria. Like Merrimack is a good distance away from my house. It has all of the programs that I want, and like it has a good community. Financial is also a big piece when you're picking a college. There's a lot to look at, so just be specific.
Yeah, at the time when I picked Great Bay, I applied to, I think, 3 schools, and I picked Great Bay just because of the cost. It was, a quarter of what going to another school would have been, and I knew after college I wasn't going to want to be paying money back towards my education, so I picked Great Bay.
Logan, how much debt was Great Bay for you out of school?
I had applied for some scholarships, and then with financial aid, I just came out of, I didn't pay anything to go to Great Bay. So.
I ended up picking UMaine based off, I wanted to get away from home but not go too far because I still wanted to be able to drive home for breaks when I needed to, and other instances when I felt like I wanted to come home. And I was looking for engineering, and the University of Maine has one of the top engineering programs in the country right now. They just revamped it in the past couple of years, so kind of made my decision a lot easier.
I went based off of clinicals. So for like my major, since I'm in the healthcare field, I really wanted to be close to all of the big hospitals in Boston. I have good contacts, so I can get into the good hospitals and start there for clinicals, and then branch wherever I really want to go after that. My program also was only offered at like 3 colleges by us, like on the East Coast. So really, I only had like 2 or 3 options if I wanted to do the major that I chose. So I really went with what was cheaper, what had the best opportunities, and honestly, like, it's close to everything. It was cheaper, and the teachers there are so they're in the classes with you. They walk you through everything. It was just really a good choice.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I did not. I don't regret not taking it. I instead took anatomy and physiology, and that helped a lot. Because I didn't want to do like nursing, that said that like I'm going to focus on like the math portion, so I took more math, more science electives here. I sometimes like think it would help because you do become, I think, CPR certified through medical assisting, and I do now have to take that class in order to go to clinicals. But honestly, the way that I went, I don't regret it because they do teach you everything again. So sometimes it's better to go with a blank slate, but it's also, if like nursing or something like that, then having medical assisting under your belt is so nice to have. just knew that being a nurse wasn't for me. So having that extra wasn't good for me.
So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to current students who are feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to succeed? Because, like, as we're nearing the end of our high school careers, it's like we got a lot on our plate. There's a lot of pressure, like, whether or not we're going to be able to succeed at what we want to do or not. So, what would you say to, like, your younger self a couple years ago to, like, get you to where you are now? Like,
I would say that if you are thinking about going to school, don't put stress on the name of the school. Be comfortable with the school that you choose. It took me a little bit. I had a bunch of friends going to universities, and I was going to go to Great Bay, and overcame that. And like I said before, don't put stress on yourself to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. I certainly didn't do as good as I could have in high school. And I think that while you're in this small bubble, you think that not doing well or as well as you can in high school is going to define the rest of your life, and it's not. The rest of your life is all about taking whatever opportunities present themselves, whether it be, a school that you didn't think of or a job that you didn't think of. Don't think that whatever you did these last 4 years is going to define the rest of your life.
Yeah, the major, if you go to college, the major you start with may not be the one you graduate with, and that's perfectly fine. Because I changed my major currently from mechanical construction engineering, but I have other people that changed at the same time as me, and they switch into political science and English, and they completely switch up what they want to do, but that's what works for them, and that's what they decided to end up doing, and they're doing great now.
Yeah, it's also okay if the school you start at isn't the school that you graduate from. You're also gonna change while you're at college, which means you might find a different place works better for you. So, just go with the flow and prioritize your mental and physical health, because that will be what's most important at the end of the day. And if you don't prioritize your health, you won't even make it past college. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was going to say definitely find what makes you happy and run with it. I think especially during high school and outside of high school, it's a lot of trial and error trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. I think it's just really important to prioritize what you find gives you the most joy and to stick with that.
I think taking advantage of shadowing opportunities, Wentworth Douglas, my senior year, I called them and I was like, can I shadow an x-ray technician? And they were like, yeah, sure. So I go down, you have to sign a few things. They let you shadow opportunities. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. And then they told me other options that I could still do within the healthcare that wasn't an x-ray technician. And that's how I stumbled across ultrasound. And that's what I'm doing now at college. And I'm in the professional phase of my program right now, so I actually get to scan people, and you really do fall in love with what you do. And sometimes it's not for everyone. I think first or second day of our program, 3 people dropped out. It wasn't for them, and they chose to go somewhere else, and that's okay. You find your own rhythm of things, and you find what you love. And it takes time for some people, and some people get it right away, but we all move at different paces. So.
One thing for me when I was in high school, I was just doing the classes just to get the grades and move on with them. Something that I wish I could tell myself now would say, instead of just going for the grade, actually try and learn what you're being taught, because now it's very different. If I had paid a little more attention in high school to the things that I was learning, I feel like I would have been a lot more prepared for college. Now I actually care about what I'm learning at, and that's a really important way to figure out if it's something you want to do. If you're kind of just breezing through just to get the grade, you might not even realize exactly what you're learning to become. So it's important to pay attention to what you're actually learning and picking up, and that was something I wish I would pay more attention earlier.
Awesome. Oh.
Did any of you do internships? And if so, how did you apply for those internships?
I just got an internship. I haven't done it yet, but the way I applied is the University of Maine does a career fair, and I just showed up. I had no clue what company I want an internship for. I just was going to show up. I printed out 15-point resumes, went to every construction engineering company that was there, and just said, hey, my name's Jacob Potter. I'd love to just learn more about the opportunities that you guys have at your company. And then after that, I got reached out to by a couple of the companies, and I set up an interview with one. And went through the interview process, learned what they were about, learned about how, when I come on as a first-year intern this summer, how they want to develop you so you can come back for a second year and then get hired straight out of college, so you don't have to worry about trying to find a job. And it's really nice because I already know what I'm going to be doing this summer. So it's a tough process sometimes because it's a lot of interviews, especially if you have multiple different options, but it's good to get through and a good experience.
Any
You guys think that after graduating high school, would you think that college would be necessary for you? What are the benefits after college?
I think for me personally, I knew that what I wanted to do as a career, and I knew in order to do it, I had to go to college. That wasn't something that I was necessarily always prepared for, so I really had to prepare financially before going into college to make sure I'd be ready for that transition. But I think for me, it just came naturally because that's the career I wanted, but that's not everyone's outlook. Everyone has like different ideas of what they want to do outside of high school, so it all depends on the direction you want to take.
All right. So what is the most valuable lesson you've learned since graduating from high school that you think all students should know?
I would say that the number one thing you guys should focus on is relationships. Whether it be spouse, friends. I still have teachers here that when I see them, I still get excited to see them. But focus on kind of being in the moment and getting to know the people around you and, caring about them, learning about them. It's a lot easier to know if something's wrong if you know the person well, and just keep in touch with them. The other stuff doesn't matter as much as relationships do.
I agree. You don't necessarily have to stay friends with the people that you're friends with now, but I definitely wish that I had made more lasting relationships in high school, because as you get older, it can be kind of harder to make friends and find opportunities where it's just having social interactions with people. So now that I'm older, I definitely try to put myself in positions where I can meet new people and find common interests that just make it easier to just hang out. I feel like I took advantage of just hanging out with people when I was in high school. I don't get that as much anymore.
So we've got about 0 minutes left. Thank you so much for coming down to talk to me.